grade knife skills. So we'll be talking about how to safely handle our knife today, how we should have our hands while we're cutting. So first thing, I do have my knife here. It is a chef's knife. When you are cutting, we should be making sure we are using the correct knife size for the job. So if this was a really big watermelon, I wouldn't want to use my smallest paring knife. This is a pretty small apple, so I could use a smaller knife, but for the knives that we have here, this is the best size. So when I pick up my knife for cutting, a couple ways I can hold the knife. I can pick it up, I can do the pinch method where I'm going to pinch the blade in between my thumb and my forefinger, and I'm going to wrap my fingers around the handle of the knife. Or if I don't feel comfortable doing that, I can put my forefinger in the little dip here and then wrap the rest of my hands around the knife to cut with. I personally like the pinch method the best. When I'm ready to start cutting my food, I do need to be aware of my other hand and where it is placed on the food. Best way to make sure that I am not going to cut the tips of my fingers is use the claw method. So I'm going to hold the food with the tips of my fingers. That way if I do hit my knife on my fingers, I'm going to hit my fingernail and not the tips of my fingers. Other ways you can hold the food is the knuckle method. So I make a fist and I set my fist down on the food, and then again I would cut down the front of my finger if I did accidentally hit it, again rather than the tip. For round food, that is not the best because it can wiggle pretty easy. The claw is better. For rounder food, you get a better, more secure grip on it. The third way that I could hold the food is the bridge method. So I make a little U with my hand, grab the food, and then I could have the knife in between my hand and cut down. Usually if you do it that way, you're gonna set the knife down first and then grab the food. But I will use the claw method. So when I'm cutting, I'm gonna pick up my knife, I'm gonna hold it, I'm going to claw the food, and then I can press down into it. I'm gonna set the point down on the board and then rock my blade into the food to cut it. When I'm cutting, I'm again keeping that claw on this hand to make sure I don't get my fingers. And with my cutting hand, the hand I have on the knife, I am keeping my finger off the top of the blade. Okay, this way it actually takes away power from your cut, rather than having your hand fully on top, wrapped around the blade or the handle. It can also, if I have my hand this way, I could have my finger slip off the knife and I could cut down into the side of my finger. I have seen that happen before. It is not a pretty sight. So keep those fingers pinched and wrapped around, or just wrapped around the blade. If I want to continue cutting this apple, I'm still going to use my claw and set the blade down, rock into my cut. The closer I am on cutting the food, when I'm cutting the food, I want to be as farther back on the blade as I can be. I'm gonna have more power in my cut the closer I am to my hand with the food. So if I cut way out here, I'm not gonna have as much power and I'm gonna have to wiggle it in through the food. If I cut back further on the knife, I'm closer to my hand, I've got more leverage, and I can cut easier. Okay. So a couple other things about knife safety. When I am not actively using my knife, I want it to be set away from me where I'm not accidentally going to hit the blade. So if you notice, I set my knife down. I have it at the top of my cutting board, so I'd still have all this area that I could work in if I need to move my apple around at all. The blade the sharp side of the blade is pointing away from me. I am also right-handed, so I do have the handle of the knife on the right side, so I can easily reach out and pick it up to start working again. If I was left-handed, I would just have it sitting the opposite way. Other things with knife safety, if I am done with my knife, I am ready to go wash it. I'm going to pick my knife up. I'm going to have the point of my knife facing down, and I'm going to have the sharp side of the blade facing toward me. I know that seems weird, but if I am walking with this knife and I have the sharp side pointed to me, I'm going to walk with it down here by my leg, and if somebody were to back up into me, I can stop my arm from hitting myself. Whereas if I had it the other way and they backed up into me, they could hit the blade. So I do want it down with the sharp side toward me and the point facing toward the ground, like with scissors. Why we have it toward the ground is because even though, yes, you might drop the knife and it's gonna fall, usually if you drop it, you can get your feet out of the way. Whereas if you were walking like this with the knife and you fell, you would fall onto the point of that knife. If you do drop a knife as you were walking, do not try to catch the knife. Just let it fall. Again, you can get your feet out of the way, but if you try to catch that knife, you are more than likely going to catch with the sharp side and it could cut your fingers. So just let it fall. If you are working while cutting with a partner and you both need to share a knife, best way to pass the knife, it would be to just set the knife down on your cutting surface and then they can grab it from the surface. Or if they are farther away and you do need to pass them the knife, you're going to pick it up. You are going to grab onto the dull side of the blade and then point the handle at them. They can then grab the handle. Once they have it secure, they can pull it out of your hand and then walk with it to where they need to go, point side down. Last thing with knife safety, when we are done with our knives, we should never just take our knife and throw it in a sink full of soapy water. Okay, we should either take the knife over and set it right next to the sink. So same way that we are doing it here, with the blade pointing away from the sink. Have it set there beside the sink, and then whoever is doing the dishes can wash it. Ideally, you would wash your knife right away because you know it's there, you can wash it, dry it, and put it back where it belongs. If you cannot wash it right away, leave it out of the soapy water next to the sink where it's easily visible. When you are ready to wash your knife, you will grab your towel. You're going to put the towel into the palm of your hand. You're going to take the dull side of the knife, set it in your hand, and then you can run the towel down the blade. Okay. If there is something stuck on this knife, like let's say the seed is stuck on there and it is not coming off, the way I'm going to get that off of there is I'm going to take my thumb with the cloth still over it from the dull side of the knife. I'm going to push down toward the sharp side and then pick my thumb up and take it away. I don't want to pull it back on the blade again. When you dry the knife, same thing. We are going to take the towel, put it over our hand, put that dull side of the blade into our hand, and run the towel down the blade. To do the handle, we would just grab the dull side of the blade, dry the handle, and then we can set it down. Okay. Other things with knife safety is when we are cutting, we should be focused on what we are doing. You should not be talking while you're cutting. You should not be having people come up behind you and try to mess with you while you were cutting. These knives are very sharp and they will very easily cut your fingers. But that is a good thing. You do want a sharp knife. A sharp knife is a safe knife. If you don't have a sharp knife, you are going to have to put more force into the food, and then if you do cut yourself, it's going to be worse. So sharp knives are safe knives, so that is why we have them here. I think that should be all of the notes that you need to take for right now. We will work on cutting our cucumbers next class.